Speak Like Comedians, Decoding Stand-Up Comedy Terms, Part 2. How to Become a Comedian Blogcast Series. Aspiring Comedians Checklist. Stand-Up Comedy Terms. In this blogcast, I'll guide you through more of the language of stand-up comedy terms. We'll teach you even more stand-up comedy terms and phrases so you can check them off your list. In my previous articles in the Aspiring Comedians Checklist, I've covered stand-up comedy videos to harden your funny bone. Read stand-up comedy blogs to fuel your dreams. Study the styles of comedians to unleash your inner comedian. Watch stand-up shows to ignite your comedy passion. Get your jokeaholic fix, Addict's Guide to Joke Books. Speak Like Comedians, Decoding Terms, Part 1. The plethora of stand-up comedy terms and phrases is almost endless. I know I've been collecting them for more than 30 years. Again, I'm putting more in this blogcast under relevant categories so they are easier to present. Now coming to the stage, types of comedy clubs and venues. Comedy clubs come in all shapes and sizes, each with their own unique atmosphere and style. From small, intimate venues to large theaters, there are plenty of options for aspiring comedians to haunt. Here are several stand-up comedy terms. Open mics. Any venue where anyone can get on stage and do a few minutes of stand-up comedy. Traditional clubs, professional stand-up comedy clubs and venues that use an MC and/or opener, feature or middle, and headliner comedians as the format for their shows. Showcase clubs, comedy clubs, rooms, and venues using a lineup of 10 or more comedians in a row as the format for their shows. Venue, any space, room, stage, or club used for presenting stand-up comedy shows. Bringer, rooms or comedy clubs that require comedians to bring audience members to get stage time. I did my first bringer show and my friends left before I got on stage at 2 a.m. These shows should come with a warning. Improvisation. 1. The activity of making or doing something not planned beforehand, often shortened to improv. 2. As related to comedy, it's the spontaneous creation of bits and sketches with a troupe improvisers who know and practice the fundamental techniques and games of improvising. Skip and I used to perform improvisation shows at the Renaissance Fair. These are the most recognizable types of clubs, yet there are many venues for comedy to know about, like those who rent a moving truck, park it and perform out of the back of it for street audiences. How committed are you? Ready to start your stand-up comedy journey? Our Level 1 course helps you build a strong, original routine in just 5 weeks. Enrollment open at gregdeancomedy.com. Functions within stand-up comedy clubs. Comedy clubs and rooms can be very intimidating as there are so many logistics and functions most people aren't aware of. Here are some stand-up comedy terms to help you feel more comfortable. Lineup list, the order of comedians and the time each is slated to perform in a show. Drop in. When a famous comedian unexpectedly enters a comedy club and immediately gets put on the stage, often with no restrictions on the amount of performing time, which pushes all of the comedians in that night's lineup to be bumped to a later time slot. Robin would often drop into the Comedy Store and do an hour or more. Guest spot. Courtesy 5 to 10 minute shows offered by comedy clubs so accomplished comedians can audition live. I called up a club in Omaha and asked for a guest set or spot, and they gave me one on Saturday night. The light. Signal to comedians their performing time is up, or that they have 1 minute left before they must leave the stage. When you get the light, respect it if you want to return to this club. Lottery. At comedy clubs, rooms, and open mics where the lineup is determined by pulling names out of a hat or bucket. At the Comedy Spittoon, it doesn't matter when you get there. You'll only get to perform if they pull your name from the lottery bucket. Time slot. Spot on comedy room or club lineups, which designates the time and length of time comedians get to perform. These are common aspects you'll be dealing with as a comedian. The more you spend time in comedy clubs and rooms, these will become commonplace. Comedy club stage equipment. One of the most important things to learn before performing is the stage equipment. Go to open mics and clubs and get on stage to get to know the tools of the comedy trade. Here are some. Microphone 1. Phallus-shaped device to enhance the volume of voices. 2. Long for mic. Mic technique. Most effective ways of holding and moving the microphone stand and cord to enhance communication and smoothly get performers on and off stage. Mic stand. Height adjustable pole with a stabilizing base for holding microphones. Spotlights. Lamps projecting a narrow, intense beam of light directly onto a stage. When I got on stage, the spotlights were so bright I couldn't see anything. Cord. The electrical cable which is attached to the microphone with a jack and plugs into the venue sound equipment. PA system. Electronic system comprising microphones, amplifiers, loudspeakers, and related equipment to increase the volume for human voices and musical instruments. As the MC, I always get to the venue early to check out the PA system. Don't forget about the stage itself. Some are big and some are tiny. The more familiar you are with stand-up comedy terms, the more comfortable on stage you'll feel. Stand-up comedy audiences. Comedy club audiences are not just passive spectators. They play an active role in the success of a stand-up comedy performance. They provide the much-needed laughter, applause, and validation that comedians thrive on. Their laughter fuels the performer and encourages them to keep going, giving their all on stage. Conversely, audiences can be feckless, mean, loud, rude, and dismissive of the comedian's art. Their soul-crushing comments and silence knock many off the path. Worse yet, there can be no audience at all. You'll be dealing with these highs and the depths of degradation sometimes all in one evening. Here are some stand-up comedy terms to help you understand the challenges. Hecklers. 1. Audience members, usually drunk or high, who talk out loud or make comments and interrupt comedy shows and the comedian's rhythm. 2. A mental social disease. Applause break. When an audience spontaneously claps in approval for a joke or routine during a show. In last night's show, I got an applause break at least 5 times. Crowd work. When comedians ask questions of the audience, then banter with the intent to find laughs, i.e., questions. What's your name? Or what do you do for a living? Real audience. When the people at a comedy room or club are actual customers and not just comedians waiting for their turn to get on stage. Groaners. 1. A joke, usually a pun, that causes the audience to groan. Audience members who, instead of laughing at the jokes, they groan, which can be contagious and start the entire audience groaning. I started the show with only 2 groaners. Pretty soon, everyone was groaning at my jokes. How do I stop that? Walking ovation. Applause while the audience leaving the room or club. The audience was in such a hurry to leave, they gave me a walking ovation. To withstand comedy audiences, you must become a psychologist, sociologist, babysitter, nurse, cult leader, and executioner. Be prepared to develop multiple personality disorder. Whether you're brand new or want to sharpen your skills, visit gregdeancomedy.com and find the class that fits your comedy journey. Stand-up comedy performing. Performing stand-up comedy requires not just knowledge of material, but the logistical information surrounding those performances. There are many situations you must deal with before, during, and after shows. Here are some stand-up comedy terms to help. Bomb to perform comedy shows that get few or no laughs. See die, dog it, crickets, eat it, flop, suck, tank. 3 to 5 and 10. 3 most common lengths of routines or shows in minutes, which comedians need to have prepared and ready to perform upon request. Kill. When comedians have done a performance, when the audience continuously laughs through the entire show. My parents are in the house, so I really want to kill. Set. 1. Stand-up comedy routines or shows of any length. 2. When comedians repeat their routines or shows with exactly the same words, body language, vocal tones, intents, inflections, and emotions for every performance. Stage time. 1. What comedians need in front of audiences to get experience and learn their craft. 2. Duration in minutes comedians get to perform at each specific show, i.e., they're going to give me 5 minutes of stage time at the open mic. Warm-up. 1. Before a show, when comedians prepare themselves to go on stage by doing light physical exercise, ritual of play, going through the set order, making up jokes for their entrance or generally warm up, etc. 2. At the beginning of shows, when comedians work the crowd with material, requests for applause, crowd work, etc., to unify the audience into a laughing force in preparation for the next comedian or host of a TV show. You'll learn the importance of each of these aspects the further you get into becoming an open mic comedian. Stand-up comedy work and representation. There's good news and bad news. The good news is that comedy agents and managers will help you get work and build your career. The bad news is that no one will represent you until you're making enough money that you don't need them. Comedy catch-22. Up until that point, you're self-employed and must learn how to continuously get comedy jobs. As you venture up the K2 of your comedy career, these are some of the landings you'll encounter along the trail to finding your Sherpa and getting to the top. Here are a few more stand-up comedy terms. PA, representation people in charge of booking and arranging personal appearance work for comedians. 4Cs, abbreviation for clubs, colleges, cruise ships, and corporations, which are the 4 venues where stand-up comedians can get work. Avails, abbreviation for availability dates, which is a calendar sent to bookers to indicate when the days and weeks a comedian can accept comedy gigs. The club booker asked me to send my avails. Booker, person who hires and pays comedians to work. The club booker hired me to be the opener and MC for a weekend gig. Road work, comedy club gigs when comedians must travel outside of their residential city. Fill in, with little notice to replace a comedian who has dropped out of a comedy show's lineup. I told the booker that I'll fill in whenever he has a drip out. Once you feel confident in your skills, start reaching out to comedy clubs, event organizers, and booking agents. By the way, whenever you perform, you'll never know who's in the audience. There may be someone watching who could potentially offer you a gig. Getting work as a stand-up comedian may take time, but with dedication, persistence, and a genuine passion for making people laugh, you can achieve your goals. Stay positive, keep writing, and never give up on your dream of getting paid to do what you love, making people laugh. And it all starts with knowing stand-up comedy terms. Miscellaneous stand-up comedy terms and phrases. This group of stand-up comedy terms and phrases are some of the things I think you should be familiar with when you're around comedians. Gig, a show business job. Your first paid gig will probably be for a comedy room. Blue material, jokes, routines, or shows using graphic, sexual, scatological, and swear words, not appropriate for network television. A comedian, Max Miller, did clean jokes from his white notebook and risque jokes from his blue notebook, and that's origin of the term blue material. Downstage center, the location closest to the audience at the center of the stage. Downstage center is where you should always find the mic and where you should leave it. Merch, abbreviation for merchandise, the souvenirs comedians sell after the show, such as personalized t-shirts, caps, posters, and CDs of their performances to boost the amount of money they make per show. I set up a table in the lobby to sell my merch. Set list. Bullet point reminders of the order of the jokes or routines to be done in a show written on paper, cell phone, or hand. Step-on laughs after delivering a punchline when comedians continue talking or taking any overt action that causes their audiences to stop laughing. Inside joke, humor based on common knowledge information only known by a select institutions, groups, or people. Andy did the ultimate inside joke that only 2 people got. By understanding the stand-up comedy terms and lingo, you'll have a greater appreciation for the art of comedy and be able to talk about it like a true comedy aficionado. The more you browse through my glossary, the better prepared you'll be to go to the clubs and interact with the working comedians. In my next blogcast, How to Become a Comedian blog series, Aspiring Comedians Checklist, 10 Reasons to be Killed, live by top stand-up comedy assassins, I'll encourage you to attend the live performances of your favorite comedians. Then when you run into them, you'll have real knowledge of what they do for a living. Laughter is contagious. Pass it on.